Hello and welcome to Tricks of the S-Trade channel. Today is the 2nd of July 2017, and on today's video we have Laurie Hernandez. I'm sorry about my voice, I'm trying to clear my throat. So like I said, today's video is about Laurie Hernandez. We call her a she for now. She's one of the five fabulous people, gymnasts that won the Olympics, the last Olympics before this year. And we've featured all of them, and Laurie Hernandez is the last of the fabulous five. And by the time we get done with this video, you'll actually see that Laurie Hernandez is actually a he. And the reason why the Fab Five was so successful at the Olympics is because they were all men, castrated boys, dressed up as girls with makeup and beating up all the real female gymnasts that you had over there. And so what I've come to discover is that in female sports, there is a lot of transgenders involved, even though there are a few females in male sports. But I think primarily there are much more in the female sports because the physical exertion of that men, being that they have more muscle mass and density, can be quicker and faster than a woman. They are able to have an advantage in the female sports. So with people like Serena Williams, which I've already covered, and Venus Williams, and then this Fab Five, they don't really need to take much steroids that much, even though they can still use it, because the steroids that a lot of this so-called popular gymnast celebrities used are not off the market types of steroids. These steroids are programmed genetically. That means specifically made or proprietary made for each individual. That means their DNA is taken into the fact of making the steroid. So it goes into the DNA and is hard to catch. And sometimes you have to understand that most of these sports personalities, which are very, very great, are manufactured in vitro fertilization. That means the DNA characteristics of them are picked and choose so that they can have the optimal muscle mass and strength that they can compete and be able to win. And in most cases, it's being practiced by the Western world, in which the US is amongst one of them. So that's why the Western world seems to always be competing and winning, because they have this technology that they're manufacturing people in vitro fertilization with certain DNA types and characteristics to make them be successful. And then they're putting them on TV and making you believe that these people are actually real people like you and me, that they just happen to have great talent. No, it's not true. The Vatican has been lying to you for a very long time. So if it's your first time on the channel and you've heard all that up to this point, I would like you to pause the video right here and go look for the primer video. If you do not watch the primer video, a lot of the stuff that I'm saying is not going to make any sense to you. And I want to show you how to get to the primer video. So what you do is you go to the video channel, all right, and look for this video right here called primer. All right, it's going to be the oldest video on the channel. It's very, very important that you watch the primer video. It's the most important video that you watch on this channel. So when you also, I would also like you to get the document that's attached to every video that we make. So one thing I would like to say is that even though we feature a lot of transgenders, the channel is not about transgenders. So what happens is, if you're solely interested in transgenders only, you have to get the document that's attached to every video. If you click on any video on this particular channel, you find a document. Now, all you need to do is go to the description section of the video, like I'm showing you right here. I'm hovering my mouse over, and you can see a link. When you click on that link, it will take you to a document, and that document is called Male versus Female Visual Differences. This is a document that I expect that you should study and read. It's about 44 pages long, but it will take you 30 minutes to go through it, I guarantee. It just has a lot of pictures, and the pictures will help you to see the visual differences between male and female. So if you're solely interested in transgenders, because I don't want to be answering too many questions about transgenders, you have to have this document. If you've been on the channel more than a day, you have to have this document. So if you want to ask me a question about a transgender, you must show me with proof, with links and pics that you're actually doing the study. You can only ask me questions if you get confused. All right. You can look for the email. I have an email on actually on the channel in which you can go look it up and send me an email or leave me a comment. But you have to show me proof that you're doing the work. Otherwise, I'm not going to answer it. And another thing, you have to watch the Real Gender. We have a series called Real Gender, Not Transsexual. Let me actually show you that. So, like I said, there is a video we call Real Gender, Not Transgender on Transsexual. The reason why I'm saying is because I want us to save time from asking questions that on people that I'm already may have covered. All right, so all you need to do is look for this particular video. It's called Real Gender, Not Transgender or Transsexual. We have up to 3 parts for now, but there'll be subsequent parts. So you watch that before you ask me a question on who you think might be a transgender or not, because like I said, I don't want to be wasting too much time answering transgender questions, because the channel is not really about transgenders. It's about showing you the power structure which runs the world. Okay, so please help us so we don't waste too much time covering irrelevant stuff. And I expect that before you answer or ask me any question, sorry to say, you must have watched the primer video. It's very, very important. I'm going to ask you, if you ask me any question, like, there are several questions that you might be going through your head if it's your first time on the channel. That's why you have to watch the primer video. And I expect that you must have watched the primer video before you ask me any of those questions. All right. So now also, there are channel rules in effect on this particular channel. We don't support any name calling or mudslinging. You just can't say someone is a transgender. We don't accept that down here. If you say someone is a transgender, you have to provide facts and links. That means links to the pictures and videos that you use to make your assertion that someone is a transgender. All right? We don't appreciate name calling or mudslinging on this channel, because I think it's normal in life. If someone wants to accuse you of something, they should provide facts or evidence. Someone just can't come to directly and walk down to you and say, you're a thief. That's mudslinging your name if he shows no facts of what you have stolen. All right? We don't like that either. I wouldn't like that somebody to do that to me. So I expect that you guys as well would stick to the same rules. You don't want somebody calling you a name, a mudslinging your name when you're not doing anything to prove that you've done what you're being accused of. All right. So there is no name calling, no mudslinging of someone's name on this channel. If you say someone is a transgender, you have to provide facts and links to the pics and the videos that you use to make your assertion. And those facts have to be centered around the fact that the female skeletal structure is designed to give birth and the male skeletal structure is not, because this is a difference between a man and a woman. A man and a woman's differences doesn't lie in ring fingers, index fingers, jaw lines, Adonis belts, long torsos, long arms, short arms, long legs, long limbs, because all that has nothing to do with birth. They are just subjective from person to person. What differentiates between a man and a woman is that the female skeletal structure is designed to give birth. And because of that design, the pelvis of a woman is tilted forward so that she can carry children. So a baby can stay inside the womb. All right? She has a wide pubic arch, so a baby can come out 120 degrees or more. That's the reason a woman can be able to have sex comfortably, because she has a wide pubic arch, be able to give birth. All right? Also, the female has an arch in her back, extra support for carrying the weight of pregnancy. And her hips are below the crotch for easy access so that the baby can come out without any obstruction. With males, this is not the case. All right? Males have straight pelvises because they don't carry children. All right? The pelvis of a man is not tilted forward. The hips of a man are above his crotch because the genitalia of a man needs to hang outside the body temperature for optimal performance. That's just the way it's designed. All right? So if you start your comments with index fingers, jaw lines, or you're just mudslinging someone's name, which do not contain those facts that I have mentioned about the female pelvis being tilted forward, all right? A wide pubic arch, hips below the crotch, an arch in the back, I'm going to delete your comment or block you as the case may be. We will block you. We will remove your comments. We will delete them. All right, as the case may be. And also, there is no mentioning of kids on this particular channel for whatsoever reason. It will not be tolerated. It's zero tolerance. You do not mention a kid's name. If the kid is not up to 16 years of age, you can't mention them on a channel as being a tranny. You can't call them out. Let the kids be kids. Let them grow. When they reach that age in which they know they can differentiate between what's right and what's wrong, then we can call them out. So those are the channel rules in place. Okay? So another thing, like I usually say before I get into the video, is that we are not against transgenders. Whatever you do in your house, your home, or wherever you're at is your business. We have no business on that. All right? As long as you've reached the age in which you can make a decision on your own to say you want to live an alternative or homosexual lifestyle, or you want to be a transgender and live the hoax or fantasy of being in a sex that's different from your birth sex or gender sex that you were born with, that's totally up to you. We have no such problems with any adult that does that. We have no power to judge transgenders. Because like I've always said, if you want to judge somebody, you have to have authority over the person. And I always give the scenario is that if you get a traffic ticket and you go to a court, all right, because that's the normal procedure in the United States. What happens is that the judge has been given authority to judge you. That's why you go to the court, to meet the judge, because he's been given authority to judge you as an individual, as a person. Nobody gave us any such authority. So we can't judge any transgenders. We have no authority over them. What we're merely doing is exposing people who are caught in a lie. Because there's a public deception controlled by the Vatican to lie to us. That's why you can't make role models of people you see on TV, because you do not know if they're telling you a lie or not. Am I saying everybody on TV is a transgender? No. Am I saying everybody on TV is a liar? Yes, definitely. All right? So you can make role models of them because they're Freemasons. They are products of the Vatican. Like I've always said, if you had a big company and you wanted the company to run successfully, which route would you go? Would you rather have someone that you trained as your son or daughter running the company, or would you have someone that you would hire from the outside to run the company? Which route would you go? If you wanted people you could trust, you would trust the people that you've raised as your own to run the company. So that's why everybody on TV is a liar, because they have all been raised or trained by the Vatican as a Freemason. That's why they're on TV, to keep on perpetuating the lie to you. So we are not against transgenders. We're merely catching people in a lie and exposing them for telling us lies. That's just what it is. Because someone asked me a question today, am I not hampering their lives because they were innocent when they were born and they were taken and transgender and all these things? And I'm like, everybody that I expose on this channel is an adult. They are old enough to know the difference between right and wrong. At 16 years of age, you know what's right or wrong. You can tell that something is off about you. And when you look at other people around, then you're going to know what's off about you, because you're going to be having drugs that is going to be administered to you. I don't even understand, because if you're transgender, your whole life is based on drugs. You have drugs that are going to be administered to you. You have doctor appointments and doctor visits. It may not be public, it may not be in a public hospital, because like I said, the Vatican controls the whole entire medical industry. They have specialized doctors, specialized clinics and hospitals dedicated to serve their transgender and their own people only. All right? So as a person, if you're transgendered and you say you do not know, that's a lie. Because you're going to know that you've been set up on certain drugs that you have to take and you can't miss it. You've been set up that way. You're going to be having doctor visits. You're going to be falling sick, weird sicknesses, because your body is trying to conform to a sex and gender that's not the sex and gender that you're born with. Even the adult transgenders today, all right, who go through that process, who are adults, get sick all the time. They have to maintain a certain drug cycle for them to be in that form. Does it make sense? So you have no excuse. So I told the person that the people that I'm exposing are adults. I'm not messing up their lives because, like I've said before, if you're quiet, you may not have the authority or power to free yourself from the clutches of the Vatican over you if you're transgendered from a kid. From that means you were taken right from the time you were born and transgendered to be in a sex and gender that's not the sex and gender that you're born with. You have a mouth. You may not have the authority or power, all right, to free yourself, but you have a mouth because it's considered a legality, all right, in legal spheres, that if you keep quiet over something, that means you're in agreement with it. That is what is accepted. If you're quiet about something, that means you're in agreement with it. That means you are supporting and perpetuating the evil that's being done to you and to others. But as long as you speak about it, all right, that means you're not in agreement. You may not have the power to free yourself, but as long as you speak about it, you have a mouth, you can talk, and someone's gonna listen. Because there are so many people out there like me who have their minds open, their ears open. They are not just listening to sounds, but they are actually listening with their brains. Talk, someone's gonna listen. It may sound like gibberish, just like Kanye West was going on a rant a couple of months ago or whatsoever. And out here, the media tries to make you think that he's crazy or sick. But it could be Kanye West is just speaking out because he wants to be free. It's as simple as that. He's talking. But the media is going to cover it up and tell you, don't mind it. He's having sickness or whatsoever the case may be. And some other channels on YouTube will tell you that he's lying. It's a Freemasonic talk. But the idea, the thing that you should notice is that he spoke. He spoke up. He spoke up. He may not have told you the whole truth, but he was trying to. So that's what they ought to do. You speak. Otherwise, you're part and parcel of the problem. And we are going to treat you accordingly. That's just the way it works. All right? So that since I've gotten that out of the way, I want you to understand without a shadow of a doubt, all right, that the Vatican is the one running things, taking kids from a young age before they can reach the age in which they can make a decision to say, I want to leave the hoax or fantasy of being in a gender that's different from my sex gender or my birth gender. These children are taken, castrated, and mutilated and forced to live in this slavery lifestyle as products of the Vatican that they could use as will. Just remember that you were a kid one day. Remember the innocence of you being a kid. Remember believing everything that you were told by mommy, daddy, or whosoever. And just imagine that someone right from the day you were born has been planning evil against you. Right from the day you were born, they've taken you. They've taken that innocence away. Just imagine that for a second. Then you'll understand the reason why I do what I'm doing. I'm not doing it because I like it. I'm not doing it because I love it. But I'm doing it for those kids, for the next generation that will come up, so they will have some truth and know who their enemy and problem is. so that you know that the man or woman next to you is not your problem, but the Vatican is, who are controlled by the devil themselves, who are working for the devil to destroy you. And God is allowing it because there are people, when you don't seek Him, when you choose not to know God, that's what usually happens. The devil is let loose on you. So I'm trying to show people the truth so they can understand your world, all right? And know for a fact, with facts, showing you with facts, that this called entity, all right, God Almighty of the Geneva Bible and the King James Bible is actually very, very real. He's not a fairy tale. He's very, very real no matter what the world wants to tell you. Because if God wasn't real, why is all this the devil and the Vatican doing all this? Showing you all the evil that they're up to. If there's evil, then there is good. Then that means there is a God. All right? Because the Vatican doesn't want you, just like I always say, they don't want you to know the truth of the Bible. But they don't want to see the logic of the Bible. So that's why they put all these Freemasons and deluded people as pastors to guide you so you don't see the logic behind the Bible. So for example, let me tell you what. The logic in the Bible, for example, in the book of Genesis, when Pharaoh wanted to make sure that the children of Israel, all right, did not run over the country, did not be the majority population to run over the country. What did the Pharaoh of Egypt do? He told the midwives, when the Hebrews, all right, bear any children that is a male, kill them. If it's female, let them live. Because like I've said on the Gabby Douglas video, that men are the pillars of society. So if a society wants to be wrecked, the very first person that you have to attack are the males. And that's what's going on today. All right? That's what's going on today. The very first people that are being attacked in this world right now are males. The manhood of a man is taken away from him. What do I mean by a manhood? Men right now are not having great jobs. They can't take care of their families. And that is on purpose. Because when a man can't take care of his family, he's no longer a man. You've taken his manhood away from him. So men have no jobs or great jobs any further. And then another thing, men are being effeminized. Men are meant to get in touch with their emotional side, when a man is supposed to be working right from his logic, his reasoning, instead of his emotions, not being clouded like a little girl. Now you have men acting like women, getting emotional about over everything, getting into sports, and talking about sports like it's their life dependent on it, talking about jewelry and clothes like a woman should. All right? Being in touch with the emotions, beefing on you hear about all the beefs around you. You'll hear McMill dissing on Drake and all that. That's all effeminate action right there. Men were not supposed to be acting that way. If you had a problem with the man, you walked up to him and you addressed it. Or you sat down like men and you talked over it. Or you picked up the phone and you called it. Not to be on social media beefing like little children or little females do. So that is where the Vatican is getting all its logic from. It's from the Bible. And meanwhile, it's telling you not to study it, not to believe a word for it. Because if you want to take out a society, you take out the men. That's why, for example, in the United States of America, black males are in prison, because you want to take out the black population. There's a reason for it. And you just think it's just a coincidence? There's no such thing as coincidence. It's all nonsense. If you believe in coincidences, you're the greatest fool. That stuff is just happening. It's not. There's no such thing. People make things happen. Things don't just happen by themselves. That's what you have to understand. Besides maybe the natural disasters which can be controlled by the devil, everything that's happening around you is caused by somebody else. And you say it's a coincidence. It's not. The Vatican, studying the Bible, sees the logic behind it. If you want to take out a society, Pharaoh showed them that logic. If you want to take out a society and weaken it, what you have to take out is the pillars of the society, which are men. Feminize them or eradicate them. That's why you have so much homosexuality, because you're taking out the men, you're making them effeminate. You're taking out the men. If you're not taking out the men, you're taking out their manhood. Take away the pillars of the society, and the society crumbles. That's just the way it works. That logic is in the Bible, from Pharaoh himself, telling the midwives, if the Hebrews bear a child that is male, kill him and let the females live, because a woman can never take the place of a man. And the Vatican is doing the same thing today, effeminizing men, taking away their manhood, or putting them in jail to get rid of the society. That's just the way it works, so they can be the controllers of it. All right, so when people talk about the Bible and say it's not real, I'm telling you for a fact, and I'll show you that in a couple of minutes, the difference in why I talk about the Geneva Bible and the King James Bible the most. All right, so before that, I want to show you something that is very, very pertinent, so you can see how the mind conditioning works in today's world. I want to talk about the Hegelian dialectic. You've probably heard of it, and you don't quite understand what it is. I'm going to show you what it is and how these people are using your mind to make you fall, or make you to work in agreement with them. That's the way I can explain it. So to start with, I'm at an article right here on the web that's called the Hegelian dialectic. You can pause the video right here and copy out this link and go read it, so you can have a firm understanding. It's very, very short. Okay, so I'm gonna read it, and you can read along with me to see what it's saying. It says, revolutionaries in government have created economic chaos. Now, when you hear revolutionaries in government, brothers and sisters, I want you to take that word out of your system and just replace it with the Vatican. So I'm gonna read it right. The Vatican have created economic chaos, shortages in food and fuel, confiscatory taxation, a crisis in education, the threat of war, and other diversions to condition Americans for the New World Order. The New World Order, in very simple terms, just means that the Vatican wants to run you and run the world. Don't fall for the trick here of the Jews or whatever. They're smokescreen. There might be Jews inside the Vatican, but they are not the one running things. That's just a fact, all right? Don't fall for that trick. They're a smokescreen, because if you read the 25 articles in which I've talked about, in which the Vatican instigated through Adam Weishaupt under the guise of the Illuminati to run the world, one of the points of the article said that they have to remain behind the scenes. So it's common logical sense. The Jews are not behind the scenes, because everybody now today knows it's the Jews. So once you know that, then you know for a fact that you've been told a lie, because they were supposed to remain behind the scenes. The Vatican remains behind the scenes. They just want you to think about them as just a pure religious entity. They don't want you to know that they are the power structure. They make you believe, if you get too close, that they are one of the many power structures together with the Jews that run the world. No, it's the Vatican. It is the power structure that runs the world, not one of it. Okay, so let me keep on reading. It says, the technique is as old as politics itself. It is the Hegelian dialectic of bringing about change in three-step process: thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Now, you have to understand, if you want to win a war, or if you want to make sure that no matter any outcome that comes out in anything, that you win it, you have to control both sides. What do I mean? If you want to make sure that you win in anything, that no matter what happens at the end of the day, that whatever result or outcome comes out, and that you are the winner of it, you have to control both sides of every conflict. So in today's world, like the First World War, Second World War, Gulf Wars, is the Vatican that control both sides of that conflict. In today's world with terrorism, the Vatican creates the terror, and they create the solution for it. They're controlling both sides. So at the end, they put you inside a box. I'm not going to show you how they do that. right here. So let me keep reading. It says here, the first step thesis is to create a problem. So how does the Vatican create a problem? Okay, let me give you a typical example. Let's say, for example, I'm going to use smoking here as a problem. The Vatican creates the tobacco industry. I want to see how these people work. They create the tobacco industry that creates cigarettes, and cigarettes is harmful to your health. Okay? Now, the second step, antithesis, is to generate opposition to the problem, fear, panic, and hysteria. Now, the next second step now is that they create an awareness that, all right, smoking is bad for your health. They create the tobacco industry. Now they create the awareness that smoking is bad for your health. All right. They create maybe the next well, they create that smoking is bad for your health and that even after smoke effects are bad. All right, let's go on further. It said the third step, synthesis, is to offer the solution to the problem created by step one. So they now say, okay, we're gonna create the solution. The solution is to help people who are smoking to stop smoking by administering such drugs, like they say, I don't know if there's some drugs on TV like a smoke patch that you can put on and then it's gonna make you not feel like smoking. Can you see that? And they said a change which would have been impossible to impose upon the people without the proper psychological conditioning achieved in stages 1 and 2. So stage 1, right, which creates the problem. Stage 2 creates the solution to the problem. And the third step, all right? Sorry, did I say it wrong? The first step is to create the problem. The second step, right, is to generate opposition to the problem. So first step, create the smoking industry and sell the cigarettes. The next step is generate the opposition, all right, to say smoking is bad, people shouldn't smoke. And the synthesis is the cure, the patch, the cigarette patch that you put on. Does it make sense now? So that is how the Hegelian dialectic works. Because what the Hegelian dialectic seeks to achieve is this. You have to be put in a camp. Because when you put someone in a camp, you disarm the person. Let me just tell you how this works, okay? So let's say, for example, right now, you have what they call, they try to make gun control, all right? You have people, because the Vatican creates the guns and all, but I don't want to get into too much. I'm just going to keep it very simple. So, for example, right now, you have what they say, people want to own guns, and there are people who are against it. The Vatican automatically has put you into opposing sides. There are people who want guns and the people who don't want it. Now, here is what happens. Here is how the Vatican puts you in a box so that you have to pick a side. So if you sit on TV and let's say you sit and you watch TV and you see people who are saying they want to own guns, all right? And you yourself, all right, feel like it's a right that you should have to own a gun. What happens is when you see these people protesting on TV and saying they want to keep their guns, you are not going to go out to protest. The Vatican has disarmed you because you feel that the people who are for guns and protesting are doing what you would do. So they automatically disarmed you in a two-step process. They made you feel like they've created the right opposition. So you don't feel the need, all right, to go out and protest anymore because you think that the opposition that is protesting is doing what you would do. See how that works? That disarms you. So now you're comfortable in that the organizations that are doing the opposition are doing what you would naturally do. They put you in a box. When you ought to, right, stand up and speak on your own account or create your own kind of opposition. They've disarmed you first by already creating the opposition for you. So you sit at home and you're comfortable and you just say, let my opposition keep on doing what they're doing. That's how the Hegelian dialectic works. It disarms you and puts you in a box. So when the solution comes out, because even though you were not a part of the opposition, all right, because you felt the opposition was doing what you were doing, what you would naturally want to do and oppose, when the solution comes out, they're going to put you inside the solution as well to something that you had no hand in. Just like Obamacare. Obamacare went on and did Obamacare, and since you're thinking, right, they've put you in a box already that Obamacare is good for you, so you're not saying anything down here. So when the solution comes and affects you negatively, you start wondering, but I wasn't up for Obamacare. I heard it, but I didn't vote for it. Why is it affecting me now? That's how the Hegelian dialectic works. So now to show you, because I always trying to show proven facts, because there are a lot of people who come on this channel and leave ridiculous comments and without any facts. This channel is about facts. If you're gonna leave a comment, you have to have facts on what you say. If it sounds abstract and ridiculous, it doesn't make logical sense from start to finish, I'm probably gonna delete or block the comment. Anybody that's on here should have that in her mind or his mind to have facts about what they're saying. We've heard of enough of propaganda nonsense. We should be hearing some facts and evidence to prove or back up your statements from now on, not just talk. We want to see it. Provide the links to the pictures. All right? So, to show you who instituted, who started the Hegelian dialectic, who's actually a highly trained Jesuit in the Vatican. They won't show you too much about his history here, but I just want to show you for a bit. The person who started, who brought about the Hegelian dialectic, as they say, because the Hegelian dialectic has always existed. But, you know, when they say people discover something, I want you guys to know that people don't actually discover something. It's always been there. It's just somebody had enough sense to put it into writing. Does it make sense? That's just what it means for discoveries. Because if you can sit in your home and discover how to make toothpaste in another way, and you make it for yourself, and it works, but just because you don't put it in writing doesn't mean it hasn't been discovered. Does it make sense what I'm saying? We discover things all the times. But people take credibility. The Vatican tries to make them take credibility for it by putting it into writing. The Hegelian dialectic has always been there. Right? God Almighty is he's the greatest Hegelian dialector. All right, that's the best way I can put it. So the guy who's credited, let me put it right, who's credited with the Hegelian dialectic that is being used by the Vatican was one of your own. His name was Heinrich Moritz Schalabus. I don't know if I'm saying the name right. You can pause the video. You can actually go look up and copy the link out here and go look him up, and you can read about what he did. Now, he was, they say, it was 1796. Now, this year is very, very particular. So I want you to notice something about this year. I'm just going to pull something up so you can see that I'm just not saying nonsense. I'm showing you with facts, okay? What I wanted to show you about the year was that Maurice was born, this is official, he was born 1796. He was born like, let's say 20 years after the Order of the Illuminati by Adam Weishaupt was formed. Right? So I'm always trying to give you a timeline of what's going on there. And if you can see right here, they say that his first published work was in 1837. 1837, all right? And what's so particular about 1837, let me see if I can give you another timeline in here. Let me see if I can get it. All right. So 1837, right? Can you see that? 1837, Adam Weishaupt died in 1830, right? 7 years before the first published work, or 7 years after Adam Weishaupt died, was the first public work of the guy who founded the Hegelian dialectic, which is being used, right, to suck the world into a solution that they think that they asked for, which was not theirs. So that's what I wanted to show you about the timeline. Another thing I want to show you is from where this guy, Henrik Moritz Schalabus, was trained. He was trained in the Knight Academy. And I'm in the Knight Academy right now. I'm showing you a link. Even though, because some people ask me, why do I use Wikipedia a lot? Wikipedia contains a lot of this information. But at the same time, when you use your brain and you connect the dots and the logic and the reasoning, you're going to pick out the truth and throw away the lies that you find on this official Wikipedia pages. That's just the way I work, because I've been trained to know that. All right. So now, if you go to the Knight Academy, where the guy who who brought about the Hegelian dialectic, you can see right here that it was a part of the Holy Roman Empire. That means it was Vatican. It's that simple. All right? It's that simple. The Vatican instituted the Hegelian dialectic. They have this, like I always say, they have the schools. The Vatican owns everything. They own everything. The whole educational system is owned by the Vatican, controlled by them. So they can indoctrinate you at will and teach you nonsense. That's why people come up here and leave so much ridiculous comments, because they can't even use their brain to think. Because I usually say, everybody who is born into this world is born of a woman. If we have a problem and we can identify who's male or female, being that we came through one, we have a serious problem on our hands. If jawlines, ring fingers, index fingers, Adonis belts, right, can determine what a woman is, we have totally lost a sense of reasoning. And it's one thing I want to try to instill back. Because if you've been in school, I mean, the only thing they've taught you in school, if you don't know, it said, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it is a duck. But today, that reasoning has totally been lost. We can see a duck walking like a duck, quacking like a duck, looking like a duck, and we say it's not a duck. It is ridiculous. So that's what I wanted to show you with the Hegelian dialectic. So I'm getting back to the subject that I started before, in which I'm talking about the Bible, because most people say the Bible's been tainted, you can't trust the Bible, and I've just showed you, if they heard earlier from the beginning of the video, that the Vatican is using concepts and logic from the Bible, in which I gave an example of the fact that when Pharaoh wanted to take out the Hebrews, what he took out was the males. And it's the same concept that the Vatican is using today, attacking the males, effeminizing them, taking out their manhood, or locking them up in prisons to control the population, because without men as pillars of the society, a society cannot thrive for very long if it's run by females, because females can never be dudes. It's just the way things are set up. That's just the way things are set up. So, because someone might ask, but no, this is not true. I want to ask you a question. When the devil, right, wanted to take over this world, who did he go to first? Did he go to Adam? No. He went to Eve. He took out Adam from the equation. Because he knew once he took out Adam from the equation by not dealing with him, he would be successful. It's normal logic. This is the logic that the Vatican still uses till today. And then they still tell you that the Bible is not real. Do not study it, when the logic is right in there. People, you have to wake up. So now the reason why I always talk about the Geneva Bible and the King James Bible is the fact that I know for a certain fact that the Vatican has tampered with the Bible. I'm not saying tampered with the Bible as tampering with the Geneva Bible and the King James Bible, because the way the Bible works is this. If you want to tamper with a Bible, you have to tamper with the whole entire Bibles, all right, for you to make that tampering successful. So what am I saying? If I went out and bought the Geneva Bible, and somebody else bought the Geneva Bible, and the Vatican is trying, right, to tamper with that Geneva Bible, they have to make sure that they change every single copy of the Geneva Bible that's in this world, and that's not possible. If they wanted to tamper with the King James Bible, all right, and change some things in there so that when you study it, you don't see what is being written in there. They have to tamper with every single copy of the King James Bible that was ever made for that to be successful, and so they can't. So the way they tamper with the Bible is this: they bring out new versions. So for example, we have King James Version. Then you hear what they say, the new King James Version. That means there's some tampering in there. Or you heard some Bibles, some other Bibles, or when they say this was the version, this is another version, that means there's some tampering now. The Bible has not been tampered with the way that the Vatican wants us to believe, because they don't want you to see the logic that's inside of it. Okay? So that's why I want you to understand. And specifically, the only thing that they've ever done to the Geneva Bible is that they've taken out the books of the Apocrypha. The 14 books of the Apocrypha has been taken out from the King James and the Apocrypha Bible in today's printing. In today's printing. That means if the Bible is printed today, being the 2nd of July, the books of the Apocrypha are not in it. So, but if you want to get the full copy of the Geneva Bible with the Apocrypha in it, you have to order the all editions of it. All right? So you can order the $15.99 Geneva Bible and you'll get the books of the Apocrypha. You can order for the 1611 King James Bible and you will get those 14 missing books of the Apocrypha, which are not being published today. Now, another reason why I still talk about the Geneva Bible and the King James Bible is this: the translation of those two Bibles had nothing to do with the Vatican. All right, I'm going to read from the Wikipedia page. Even though this Wikipedia page contains this information, you have to read with logic and with sense to understand what's going on. Okay, so because they won't tell you that the reason why the Geneva Bible was removed was because the Vatican was fighting against it. And then King James was trying to remove the Geneva Bible because it had notes, all right, that concerned kings and queens, that if they did not rule according to the Bible, that the public should not listen to or adhere to the king. So I'm going to show you that part here so you understand that the production of the Geneva Bible and the King James Bible had nothing to do with the Vatican. These were done solely by people, private individuals who just wanted to get the Bible into everybody's hands because it was illegal for you to study the Bible or read it. And it was read and it was written in Latin way back before the 1500s. All right, so that's what I want to show you from this particular article. Now I'm going to read, and now you can pause the video and go look for the Geneva Bible Wikipedia page on here and study it, and you can read along with me. So I'm going to read the part that I wanted to say. Now it's talking about the Geneva Bible here. It says, this version of the Bible is significant because for the very first time, a mechanically printed mass-produced Bible was made available directly to the general public, which came with a variety of scriptural study guides and aids, collectively called an apparatus. Now, what I want you to notice are the words. It says, the version of the Bible is significant because it was the first time a mechanically printed, mass-produced Bible was made available directly to the general public. First time, because the Bible was illegal. So the people who produced the Geneva Bible were doing it underground. It had nothing to do with the Vatican, so it cannot have been tampered with by the Vatican, because the source was not the Vatican. And like I've said before, if the Vatican is trying to tamper with the Bible, it has to tamper with every single copy that's in this world, and it's not possible for it to have that change. Otherwise, someone's going to notice that someone changed something in the Bible, because we all have copies of it. Does it make sense? Now, I go on to read here. That's the part I wanted to read up to you about the Geneva Bible. And I'm going to go down again to read something about the King James Bible so you can understand that the King James Bible also had nothing to do. It hasn't been tampered with. It hasn't been tampered by the Vatican. It has nothing. so you can actually study it and be sure that you can see the logic inside, which the Vatican doesn't want you to see. Now, I read here, let me see where I can find it. Hold on a second. Let me just make sure I can pull it right. Okay, so here's the part that I wanted to read. It says, it's about the King James Bible. It says the annotations, which are important part of the Geneva Bible. They don't want to talk about all those notes. We clearly show you, for example, if you read in Revelation chapter 13, that the Vatican is the harlot, all right? Is the harlot that rides the beast. And the beast is just a kingdom. I've talked about that on the Shakira video, so please watch the Shakira video. I don't want to get into too much details about it. He says the notations which are an important part of the Geneva Bible were Calvinist and Puritan. That's just, like I said, disinformation. The Wikipedia doesn't want you to read there and know what's really saying, because the Vatican still controls much of this as well. So I continue reading. It says, the annotations, which are an important part of the Geneva Bible, were Calvinist and Puritan in character, and as such, they were disliked by the ruling pro-government Anglicans of the Church of England. They don't want to say that the Vatican hated the Geneva Bible like crazy, so they just want to make you think that it was only King James who had a problem with it, because of the notes in the Geneva Bible which said that if kings and queens did not rule or had excesses that were outside of the Bible, that you should not listen, you should not adhere to what they say. All right, they just want to make you think that it's just only King James, but not the Vatican itself. Okay, so I keep reading. It says, and as such, they were disliked by the ruling pro-government Anglicans of the Church of England, as well as King James, who commissioned the authorized version of King James Bible in order to replace it. So you can see right there, right now, that the King James Bible also had nothing to do with the Vatican, because like I've said before, King James was an enemy of the Vatican. So the only thing he did was he commissioned the King James Bible to be the authorized version to be read in churches, because to read the Geneva Bible was illegal, because he had notes on kings and queens and the Vatican. But King James was an enemy of the Vatican, but not an enemy of the Bible. He just didn't want people to be, talking about against him and getting the whole kingdom up in upheaval. So he wanted to replace the Geneva Bible by making it illegal and making the King James to be the authorized version to be read in all English kingdoms. Does it make sense? So I've shown you with a fact that the Bible, right, has not been tampered with by the Vatican. I'm giving you logical, sound reasoning so you can read it and understand, because all the game that the Vatican is playing from you, they get the logic and concepts from the Bible. That's what it is. That's what it is, all of it. So, which I'll be going to show you as I get along on every video as much as I can. So now that's what I wanted to show you guys with the regular ramble. And now we've arrived at the subject of Laurie Hernandez. Now with Laurie Hernandez, what I want to show you before I get into the video and showing you that Laurie Hernandez is actually a dude, is I want you to notice something. Like I've said, the Vatican produces these people to run you, and they put them up in your face and give them every type of name for what it is. Because if you read from the wiki page of Laurie Hernandez here, it talks about that Laurie Hernandez is a Christian and credits her positive nature to God molding her every day. Now here is a dude talking, all right? So here's what happens. Let me show you how the Vatican does this. So they manufacture these people and give them names as a Christian. So I'm going to give you a typical example. Now, let's say, for example, that Kanye West, he calls himself a Christian. But Kanye West is doing everything contrary to what the book or the Bible says as a believer should be. Because I don't like using the Christian word, because Christianity is a manufactured religion by the Vatican. It's not what it is, because God, if you read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, the Acts of the Apostles and Yehoshua talking, they never for one day call us Christian. They call us believers, brethren, beloved in Christ, saints of God. Never the word Christian. That's a manufactured word by the Vatican. All right. So in now, when people are confused and think themselves as Christians, so the Vatican creates this kind of people as role models. So I'm using the example of Kanye West, in which he says he's Christian, and since you people watch TV and are looking for role models, they take Kanye West as a role model. And here is Kanye acting in every type of way that's not what is written about a person should act in the book. And so, if you are following this kind of role models, what you're going to think is that's the way a Christian ought to act. And you're going to do the same. So, in the same case, Laurie Hernandez here is manufactured as a Christian. So, if you think that you're a Christian and you want to make a role model out of Laurie Hernandez, you're going to be acting or doing what he's doing, right? And somewhere along the line, Laurie will tell you it's okay to be transgendered because he's been trained that way. And you're going to say, oh, it's okay to be transgendered. We're still Christian. That's the way it goes. You see how the Vatican uses the Hegelian dialectic here with the transgenders, with this confused and deluded people to run mind games on you and soak you into a box so that they can control. So you can accept what you naturally wouldn't accept. Does it make sense? By using the thesis, antithesis, and everything else? Right? That's what I wanted to show you from the Laurie Hernandez page. So, to proving who Laurie Hernandez is, as usually, I always like playing a video so you can see where a woman's hip is at, standard anywhere in the world. Without this, a woman's clothes cannot be made because a woman's hips are below her crotch, not above it, so she can give easy access to childbearing or children when she wants to. All right, so I'm going to play the clip so you can see where that is. And you can see this is a female and she's spreading, which is natural. Men spread upwards. That means a man is going to get bigger as you travel up from his crotch up to his head. He gets bigger, he spreads down upwards. I'm not saying women can do that sometimes, but you have to understand that the basic thing that doesn't change is that a female's pubic arch will always be wider than that of a male, and the hips will still be below the crotch, even if in some abnormal females they are spreading much more upwards. Okay, so now in a regular female, she's supposed to be spreading downwards. That means as you go downwards into a woman's body, she's spreading wider, and the widest point will always be the hips, which are below the crotch, which I'm showing you here. So you can see the tape goes around this female's hips, which is below the crotch, as you can see right there. The hips, the widest point, is below the crotch. And she's going to spin around so you can see where exactly it is with the bum line to the back. So she spins around, and you can see right there that the widest point is just below, slightly below the bum line, but below the crotch. Below the crotch and slightly above the bum line, I meant to say. Okay, so that's the video I wanted to show you. So from our document now, I move now to our document, the document advice that you should have to understand, to show you another female characteristics that differentiates between a female and a male. A female always has an arch in her back. Now I want you to remember this. A woman has a C-shaped arch in her back. A C, the letter C, or an S, depending on where you draw the line from. The arch is extra support, all right, so she can carry the weight of children, and the pelvis is tilted forward, all right. Now with a man has a straight back, and I want you to remember these letters. The shape of a man's back is straight. If it wants to arch, it's gonna arch like a D or a P, as you can see here. All right, and it's gonna go straight into the pelvis. If a man tries to arch his back, it's gonna create a weird L angle, an L shape. I want you to remember those letters. Now it doesn't matter if the female has muscles or not. A woman's back will always bend more than that of a male. All right, for example, here is a female right here. Her back is always gonna arch more. If a woman arches her back outside, it's going to arch so much more that it looks like it's some sort of humpback, much more than a man. If she arches her back inside, it's gonna arch more, and you're gonna see C. With a man, it will be flat and straight and create a weird L angle. With a female, you see a C in here between the pelvis right here and the back, a C in there. So it doesn't matter if the female has got muscles, she works out a lot, right? And has muscles which will not be as dense as that of a man, except she's taking steroids or something. Her back is still gonna have an S or a C shape in there, as I intend to show you in the document as I'm scrolling down. Document is loading. So here is a female, muscular female, as you can see here. She still has the C-shaped arch in her back. All right, you see that? Another muscular female. She has the C-shaped arch in her back. All right, because that is normal. A woman's back skeletal structure has to be this way, because the sex, remember, like I told you, is determined at conception. That's why you can go get an ultrasound and know the sex of your baby, because it's determined immediately when an egg is fertilized by a sperm. Okay, it cannot be changed. There's no such thing as androgyny. You're born either male and female. Don't believe the Vatican's deceptions, because they get into the lab and create all sorts of deceptions for you to believe. It's make-believe reality. Those things about Siamese twins, you probably heard of hermaphrodites. If there's any hermaphrodite, it's constructed in a lab by the Vatican. There is no such thing. People are born male or female. Just because a female has a longer genitalia or clitoris doesn't mean that she is male. The skeletal structure has to be male for you to be male, and you have to have the fully formed genitalia of a male. Just because a woman has let's say, unformed or breasts, the breasts are not maybe formed properly well, doesn't change the fact that she's still female. She still has the skeletal structure, and she still has a womb. The Vatican goes in and creates all sorts of aberrations and puts it on TV and makes a video or movie about it, and you believe this to be real. People are born male or female. That's just that. Okay, so let's get back into the subject of showing you that Laurie Hernandez is not what he claims or she claims to be. Don't worry about the pretty face, smile. This is a boy on makeup. A nice looking boy if they had let him grow. But as you can see straight right away, remember the shape I told you about the back is going to be shaped like a P or a D. And what do you see about this? This is a P. Straight down, and see how long it is? And then it's straight here, the shape of a P, like he would draw a P. See that? This is a straight back, straight into the pelvis. There's no arch in the back. All right? Some more pictures. Look at that again. Straight back, straight into the pelvis, no arch. Don't let the nice makeup and nice face fool you. It's just a man on makeup. All right? Some more pictures again. And look at that. Where's the widest point on this hip in Laurie Hernandez? See right there? Its widest point is right here, above the crotch. Not below it like a female should be, but above it, above the crotch. Because this is the pelvis of a male. Narrow pubic arch. Okay? Some more pictures. Look at that. See that? Is the pelvis tilted forward that like it should be in a female? How is this thing supposed to carry and bear children if the pelvis is straight like this? It's not tilted forward. If this was female, this spot right here that you see coming out would be going inside. It would be slanting inside. It wouldn't be straight like this because this is the pelvis of a male. Some more pictures. Look at Laurie Hernandez again. Where's the widest point in that hip? See there? Right there. That's where it's sticking out. That's the widest point. It's a straight hip, narrow hip, because this is male. And like I've showed you before, and I've talked about it, I think, on the Madison Quotient video, that with a man, usually, a man's thighs will always join straight down, right, and close to the knee. All right, his thighs will join, except a woman is very fat and very big before your thighs can be this way, because this is a man. All right, look at that again. Straight back right here. There's no arch. See, P. I told you, shape of a P. Straight. And look at the pelvis again. Straight pelvis is not tilted forward. This is the pelvis of a dude. All right, some more pictures again. Look at that again. Where's the widest point on that hip again? See that? Right there. Right there. This is the hip of a dude. This is no female. And you can still look at the straight back. There is no arch. Straight, straight, straight. It's just standing because of the way it's standing and arching his body towards the side. Looks like it wants to have an arch, but it's not. But it's still straight. If you turn around the picture and rotate it, it will still be straight. The back of a dude. Some more pictures again. Where's the widest point on that hip? See that? It's right there. That's where the Q angle for a man starts. With a female, the Q angle will start here and it will be more acute. But a man, it starts way higher up. That's why it's more straight, because this is the pelvis of a dude. Some more pictures again. Look at that. Straight back, straight into the pelvis. Straight. No arch. Back of a dude. Look at Laurie Hernandez again. Where's the widest point on that hip? See that? This is where the Q angle starts, but because right now it starts going to the Q angle, which is less acute. And where's that widest point right there? See that? Above the crotch. Above the crotch, not below it like it should be for a female, because this is a dude. Above the crotch. Another picture. Look at that. I think we've already gone through this. I don't want to do that again. Look at that again. Where's the widest point on that pelvis? See that? Right there. See that? See that? From there where the Q angle goes in. See that? Right there, above the crotch, because this is male. Don't let the smile and nice furs with earrings and makeup fool you. That's why you can't fall in love with anybody on TV or make role models of them. You don't know who you're looking at. Like I've said earlier, am I saying everybody on TV is transgender? No. But are they all liars? Yes, because they are all property of the Vatican. That's just the way it works. Your property of your company until the day you leave it. That's why you sign all those documents, all right? Non-disclosures and everything else. Your property of who you're working for till you leave it. All right. Let's go further. Look at that again. Straight back. Straight. There's no arch in that back. Back of a male. All right. Some more pictures again. Look at that. It's trying to put an arch in the back, but like I said, it's going to create a weird shape. Can you still see that this is a P and it's straight down here, straight into the pelvis? Straight down here. P, shaped like a P. Can you see that? All right. Some more pictures. Look at that. It's modeling female clothes. This is how ridiculous it gets. It's modeling female clothes. It's modeling a swimsuit with a straight back, and somebody can't even tell. This is the back of an underdeveloped boy who's not been allowed to reach puberty or go through adolescence. That's why the back is this way. Or the body is this way, sorry, I meant to say. That's why the body is this way. But you can still see the skeletal structure hasn't changed. The back is still straight. The back of a male. All right? Some more pictures again. Look at that. I think I already showed that, but I'm showing it again. The widest point is above the crotch, not below it, like a female should be. Look at that again. Even from the back, you can still see that. Look at the part where the Q angle starts. Can you see that? That's where the Q angle of a man starts, high above his crotch, not below it, like a female should be, high above. And it's so straight, the Q angle of him. Don't worry about all these curves right here. You can get that in the gym from just sitting on a leg press and just keep pushing, and you have this well-rounded thigh. All right? But the widest point right there, widest point, because I probably think they're trying to give it some sort of maybe, let's say, hip implant. Widest point right there is above the crotch, not below it. Okay? And here's the Fab Five. We've covered all of them. The last person we're covering today is Laurie Hernandez. So you can actually see that the reason why the Western world seems to compete in the Olympic and win more, especially in the female competitions, is because there are males in there which have more muscle mass and will henceforth have more strength and more speed than the females. All right? Dudes beating up females. I hope that one day all of them will come to the terms of the truth and will say and speak up, so they don't keep perpetuating this evil, because there are victims as well. But as long as you don't speak up, you're not a victim at all. I hope they'll speak up one day and say, We are not what they said we were, because you can all see, I've gone through the whole of these people, and you can still see with all of them, the hips are above the crotch. There is none of them that have hips below it like a female should be. They were all males, the Fab Five. So with that said, I've come to the end of today's video. And for those people who leave stupid comments, like I said, this channel is not for everybody. So I don't really care about the number. We don't really care about the number of the subscriptions or whatever. We care about people who are dedicated to the truth. So if you've sat through the whole entire video and watched it up till this point, and then you leave a stupid comment such as that we're stupid or crazy, then you're the more ridiculous fool than we are. Because I don't stand around listening to stupid people talk. After 5 or 6 minutes of listening, I'm like, this guy is full of nonsense. I'm not listening to him anymore. I quit and I go. I don't go around standing to argue with a fool. That makes me even a worse fool than he is. Why would you argue with a fool? If you don't like the video, leave it alone. Let the people who are concerned with truth, who want truth all their lives, desperate for truth, listen and make comments. Don't cloud up our comment section, please. All right? So with that, I come to the end of today's video, and as I usually say, I leave you with these words. Look with your eyes, but see with your brain. Thanks, and bye-bye.